Did you know that in the last decade alone, the world has witnessed over 200 major geopolitical crises? From conflicts that disrupt global trade to political upheavals that threaten entire nations, these crises are becoming more frequent and impactful. And here's the startling truth. Most of us aren't prepared. Today, we are breaking down the 5 stages of a geopolitical crisis and giving you the tools to survive it. Welcome to Open Atlas, where we navigate the complexities of our world together. Geopolitical crises can feel distant until they're suddenly at our doorstep, affecting everything from the economy to our daily lives. But here's the thing. Understanding the stages of a geopolitical crisis can make the difference between chaos and survival. Whether it's a war, a government collapse, or an economic meltdown, knowing what to expect and how to respond can keep you safe and prepared. So in this video, we are diving deep into the 5 stages of a geopolitical crisis and showing you how to navigate each one. So, what makes geopolitical crises so challenging? Well, for starters, they often strike without warning, catching entire populations off guard. Misinformation spreads like wildfire, creating confusion and panic. People scramble for resources, unsure of what's really happening or what to do next. And then there's the issue of preparedness, or rather, the lack of it. In most cases, by the time people realize that they're in the midst of a crisis, it's already too late to take the necessary precautions. But what if you could recognize the warning signs earlier? What if you knew how to act before the crisis reached its peak? Well, that's where understanding the 5 stages comes in. Let's break down these 5 stages one by one. Stage 1. Early warning signs. The first stage is often the most subtle, making it easy to miss. Early warning signs might include unusual political rhetoric, rising tensions between nations, or economic indicators pointing to instability. It's a period of uncertainty, where the crisis hasn't fully erupted, but the signs are there for those paying attention. This is the time to start preparing, gathering information, securing resources, and developing a plan. For example, in the lead up to the 2008 financial crisis, there were warning signs like the housing market bubble and increasing defaults on subprime mortgages. Those who recognized these signs early were better positioned to protect their assets. Stage 2. Escalation. In the second stage, tensions begin to escalate. This is when the crisis becomes more visible. Media coverage increases, governments take action, and the public starts to take notice. The situation might still feel manageable, but things are getting more serious. This is the time to finalize your preparations. For instance, during the Arab Spring, the initial protests in Tunisia were a sign of growing unrest, but as the movement spread across the Middle East, it became clear that a major geopolitical shift was underway. People who recognized the escalation early had time to prepare, whether that meant stocking up on essentials or planning an exit strategy. Stage 3. Crisis point. Stage 3 is the tipping point, the moment when the crisis reaches its peak. This is where things get intense. The crisis could manifest as a full-scale conflict, an economic collapse, or a significant political upheaval. Panic sets in, misinformation spreads rapidly, and resources become scarce. At this stage, it is crucial to stay calm and stick to your plan. During the 2014 Ukrainian crisis, for example, the annexation of Crimea marked the crisis point. The situation escalated into a full-blown conflict, and those who were prepared were better able to navigate the chaos that followed. Stage 4. Stabilization. After the crisis peaks, there's usually a period of stabilization. This doesn't mean the crisis is over, but rather that the situation is beginning to settle into a new normal. Governments may start to implement emergency measures, and communities might begin to organize themselves for long-term survival. It is essential to stay informed and adapt to the changing circumstances during this stage. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, for example, the initial chaos eventually gave way to a stabilization period where recovery efforts began and people started rebuilding their lives. Stage 5. Recovery. The final stage is recovery. The crisis has passed, but its effects are still felt. This is a time for rebuilding, both on a personal level and within society. It's also a period of reflection, where lessons are learned and plans are made to prevent future crises. The 2008 financial crisis led to significant reforms in the banking sector, aimed at preventing a similar meltdown in the future. For individuals, recovery might mean rebuilding finances, relocating, or simply finding a new sense of normalcy. Now, here's the key takeaway. Understanding these 5 stages isn't just about survival, it's about thriving in the face of uncertainty. By recognizing the early warning signs, you can take proactive steps to protect yourself and your loved ones. By staying informed during the escalation and crisis points, you can avoid falling prey to misinformation and panic. And by planning for stabilization and recovery, you can ensure that you're not just surviving the crisis, but emerging stronger on the other side. So, let's recap. The 5 stages of a geopolitical crisis: early warning signs, escalation, crisis point, stabilization, and recovery are your roadmap to navigating any geopolitical upheaval. Each stage presents its own challenges, but by understanding what to expect and how to respond, you can stay one step ahead. Remember, the key is to be proactive, stay informed, and always have a plan. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to Open Atlas for more insights into how our world works. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced a geopolitical crisis? How did you handle it? Share your stories in the comments down below. And also, don't forget to check out our other videos on emergency preparedness to make sure you're ready for whatever comes next. Stay safe and keep exploring.